The time right after death can seem strange. The body goes through different changes as it transitions from being alive to completely dead. Some of these changes, like stiffening and changing color, are often shown on crime TV shows. However, other changes can seem unbelievable even though they happen to the human body. Corpses can do some shocking and creepy things, from giving birth to showing signs that they know they're dead. This list of changes is not for the faint of heart or stomach. Hi, I'm Alina. Welcome back to my channel. Stories about dead bodies sitting up have been around for a long time, but it's very unlikely for this to happen. However, a body can make small movements after death. These movements don't look like anything a living person would do, but they can still surprise people. After death, a body can twitch, move, and even clench muscles. This happens because the muscles are still getting nerve signals to contract or relax, making the body seem like it's moving. Once the energy in the muscles, called ATP, is used up, the final movements can include fingers clenching, hands moving, toes wiggling, and muscles twitching. How the person died can also affect these movements. If there is extra calcium or temperature change, or if the death was violent or involved electrocution, the body might move more. These movements usually happen before rigor mortis sets in. So if someone says they've seen a body sit up, they're probably just trying to scare you. Sadly, death can happen to anyone, even pregnant women. Giving birth while alive versus giving birth after death is very different and distressing for those handling the deceased. This birth, called coffin birth, happens inside coffins. It occurs when the pressure from gases building up in a dead body pushes the fetus out. The fetus must be in a specific position for this to happen. Although most coffin births happened in the past before modern medicine, they still occur today. In January 2018, a woman from South Africa who had died suddenly 10 days earlier surprised funeral home workers when they saw she had given birth inside her coffin. She was 9 months pregnant at the time of her death. And while preparing for her funeral, the staff discovered her body had expelled the fetus after she died. When a person dies, their body goes through several changes. One of these changes is that all the muscles relax, including those that control the release of urine and feces. This happens because the brain stops sending signals to keep these muscles tight, causing whatever is left in the bladder and bowels to be released. This doesn't always happen after death. It depends on how the person died and how much food and liquid were in their system. Sick people often have less food in their system because they might not eat much. In sudden death, the body is more likely to release whatever was left inside. This process can take a few hours, so it's best to let it happen naturally. Most stories about bodies making noises focus on zombies rather than actual corpses. While real dead bodies don't scream or yell, they can make sounds like moans, groans, hisses, and grunts. These sounds happen because after death, any air left in a windpipe can escape and vibrate the vocal cords, making these noises. These noises often occur when coroners or morticians turn or move the body. The escaping air make sounds that seem human but are just the air leaving the lungs. Another reason for the sounds is gas building up inside the body, which can escape through the windpipe, causing squeaks, hisses, and sometimes low groaning. Even after a person is declared dead, the body might take some time to completely stop working. Once the brain stops, the rest of the body follows. Some people think that hair and nails keep growing after death, but it's not true. What really happens is when a body dies, it doesn't get oxygen anymore, so it can't produce glucose, which is needed for hair and nail growth. Instead, the skin around the nails and hair dries out and pulls back, making it look like they have grown longer. This also happens with men who have stubble or chest hair. The shrinking skin makes the hair look more noticeable even though it hasn't actually grown. Sometimes muscle contractions after death can cause goosebumps, making hair stand up and seem longer. Once these contractions stop, the hair goes back to its normal state. Don't worry about this happening to you or your loved ones. Funeral staff usually moisturize the skin to keep it from looking dry and shrunken. After death, the body starts to break down. It goes through a process called autolysis, where it essentially digests itself to aid in decomposition. We don't know much about how human body decay works, but forensic research facilities known as body farms and cheaper DNA sequencing techniques are helping scientists to study this process. When the heart stops beating, cells lose oxygen, and their acidity increases because of the buildup of toxic chemicals. Enzymes begin to break down cell membranes and leak out as cells deteriorate. This process usually starts in a liver rich in enzymes, and the brain, which has a lot of water. Eventually, all tissues and organs break down in this way, settle in small veins and capillaries, causing the skin to discolor. Next, the bacteria in our bodies come into play. Our bodies host vast numbers of bacteria, mainly in the gut, which contains trillions of bacteria from hundreds or thousands of species. When we're alive, most internal organs are free of these microbes. But after death, the immune system stops working, allowing bacteria to spread throughout the body. This usually starts in the gut, where the small and large intestines meet. Unchecked, gut bacteria begin to digest the intestines and surrounding tissues, using the chemicals from damaged cells as a food source. People have shared wild stories about bodies exploding from the inside out. While it sounds unbelievable, there's a bit of truth to it. Some think spontaneous human combustion causes these explosions, but the real explanation is different. Usually, when a person dies, their body cools down. However, sometimes the body heats up instead, a phenomenon known as postmortem hypothermia. This can happen due to drugs, trauma, or brain signals just before death. Although the body can get quite hot, it doesn't usually catch fire. Instead, the temperature eventually drops and the body starts to decompose. There have been rare cases of bodies exploding, but not because of spontaneous human combustion. These gases need to escape, and their buildup can sometimes cause the body to quote-unquote explode. This doesn't happen often, but in January 2013, a body did explode in a mausoleum in Melbourne. This incident was witnessed by visitors who were understandably shocked and horrified. This event led to better precautions to prevent such occurrences in the future. It's normal for people to respond to certain things when they're alive, but it can be really strange when a dead man gets an erection. After the heart stops, blood starts to settle in the lowest part of the body. Depending on how the man died, like from a spinal injury or lying face down, this can cause blood to collect in the genital area. This can lead to a condition called priapism, when the penis becomes erect after death. Although this is rare, it can also happen to women. When a woman dies in a similar way, her labia can swell and her clitoris can become enlarged. Even though this might sound like necrophilia, it's actually not. In dead bodies with no oxygen, this can't happen. However, in cases where people are clinically dead but still have their hearts beating or are being used for organ donation, it's possible for the body to have an orgasm. This isn't intentional. Doctors sometimes need to use electric stimulation on parts of the spine. When they stimulate the sacral nerve at the base of the spine, it can cause a reflex reaction in the body's nervous system. This only happens because the body still has some oxygen, even though the person is clinically dead. When this reflex occurs, it can result in orgasm. Although, since the brain isn't working anymore, there is no real pleasure or enjoyment from this reaction. The body is just responding reflexively. Many people who have come close to dying and then survived have shared their thoughts on what the afterlife might be like. While we all wonder about what happens after we die, scientists have found some answers. Research suggests that after death, the brain might still have some awareness. This means that even after someone has died, they might still be aware of their surroundings and what people are saying around them. In a study of 2,060 people who were declared legally dead after cardiac arrest, meaning their brains were not showing activity, about 40% reported being aware of their environment and conversations happening around them. But this state of awareness doesn't last long. Scientists believe that there is usually a window of 10 to 20 seconds after death, during which a person might still be aware. During this time, the brain can send out last signals even after oxygen levels drop. For example, a severed head can still show brain waves after death, but these waves usually lead to a stage of unconsciousness. The idea that someone might be aware of their death is both fascinating and unsettling. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!